Good morning and welcome back to the Sage Sorority. I'm your host, Shantel. How are we all doing, guys? Happy Thursday. I hope you guys are having an amazing week thus far. I am having a fabulous week, I must say. The weather has been pretty good in London. Our heat wave has taken a little bit of a back seat. And overall, I'm just in good vibes. And I hope you are too, wherever you are listening to this. I had a TikTok go kind of semi-viral for me, talking about not living life on autopilot and our life mission, which, if you know, or which you guys remember, was discussed in episode 19 of the Sage Sorority. So if you are new here from that TikTok, welcome to the Sage Sorority. Over here, we talk about self-concept, self-mastery, and sisterhood, all under the umbrella of the Sage Sorority. For those of you that don't know, Sage comes from the idea of being evergreen and consistent wisdom, and sorority was a fun little play on words for a post-college sisterhood. And that's really what the Sage Sorority is about. I'm so glad you guys are all here. This is episode 22, part 2 in the Sisterhood Chronicles. We are talking about how to make new friends as a grown-ass woman. So let's go. So in episode 6, which is part 1 of the Sisterhood Chronicles, we took a deep dive on female friendships in general, what they are, what they're not, why they matter so much. And today I want to follow up with that with a question I get very often, which is, how do you make new friends? And for being honest, making new friends as an adult can feel weird. It's something that I know as women, we're not really taught. We are so used to being very heavily immersed in our communities, which is school and work. And once you get out of that, it can be very hard to make friends on a regular basis because you don't have that forced proximity. No one really tells you how to do it in general. We're all here just trying to build connection, but with time, with energy, blah, blah, blah. So whether you've just moved cities, outgrown maybe your old friend group, have gone through a serious life change, want different friendships, craving something a little bit more aligned, this is hopefully a guide to help you going and to building a new circle, or at least expanding yours in ways that feel good. Today, we're going to talk very practical, where to go, what to do, how to follow up. The power is in the follow-up. If anyone's ever worked in sales, you know what I mean by that, and why expanding your network is one of the most powerful things you can do. So before we get into some tangibles, I do think it's very clear that you establish your why. Like, why are you looking for new friends, right? You know, what's really driving your desire for new friendships? Are you feeling isolated because maybe you've moved cities, you've moved countries? Have you just come off of a breakup? Are you newly separated, newly divorced, bad breakup, moved out in a different neighborhood than you're used to? Do you feel like your current friends don't reflect who you are now or who you are becoming? Maybe you're just in a different phase of life and you're like, I love my friends, but we don't vibe in the same way anymore. Maybe you want a friend that's very specific to a part of your life that is newly blossoming, you know? Maybe at one point you were the party girl and now you're like, I really just want to get into my wellness bag a little bit more and I wish I had more friends that were into that. All of the reasons, as long as they're healthy and come from a genuine place, are all okay. You can just want more joy, more ease, more laughter, more fun, more softness, whatever it is, all completely valid. But your why is going to shape the type of friendship that you're seeking. Like, are you looking for someone who shares your values, someone who you can have deep, meaningful conversations with? Or are you looking for a friend to brunch with on a weekly basis? Maybe go for a long walk because you guys live in the same area. Maybe you have a dog and you're looking for dog friends because you never had those friends before. Maybe someone to co-work with and have more collaborative, creative efforts together. A gym buddy, a travel buddy. So it's good to kind of iron out what you're feeling and what you're looking for. And here's the thing, not everyone needs to be your best friend and not everyone needs to be your soul sister. It's okay. And I don't think you should put that pressure on yourself. I understand that some of the girlies are looking for a bestie. That comes through time. You do not meet someone and you're like, I'm looking for a best friend. They're like, I'm looking for a best friend. And then you guys are best friends. That's not how it works. We are not 5. This is not kindergarten. I am so sorry. And you shouldn't want that either. And I would be weary of anyone who thinks that way. That's a lot of pressure to put on a single friendship, but it does help to know what part of your life you're looking to invite someone into. Maybe you're in a really happy, serious relationship and you're like, I would love to meet another couple that's the same so we can do double dates. Great idea. Are you looking for someone to fill a specific role or are you just looking for more community in general? I think this is so important because when I moved to London, I was very clear that I needed to meet different types of people for different parts of my life. And I was willing to cast a very wide net. And it actually made it easier to meet people because I wasn't expecting a lot of things from one person. For those of you that don't know, I moved to London in 2018 by myself. So no man, no job, no nothing. I knew one girl that lived here, and that's who I lived with for the first 8 months. So I had one person, and that was my social network. So when I moved here, one of the things I did right off the bat was all of my friends in Toronto, or anyone that I knew that probably had like a more expansive network, I asked them, hey, do you know anyone in London? And if they did, can you introduce me to them? Some people, it was like, oh, they don't live in London, but they go there often. Or, yeah, I'm actually going to be in London in a month. Let's get coffee. And I was very frank about that. Like, even my roommate at the time, I said, if you know anyone that's cool that you think I would get on with, introduce them to me. I wasn't picky. They didn't have to be like me or into the things that I was into. I just wanted to meet any and anybody because I was new to the city and I wanted to expand my network. And I knew that I could sit and wait and hope I just run into cool people. But if you want to hit the ground running and actually build momentum, you have to take things in your own hands. And this brings me to part 2 of like where to actually meet women, right? So first we're going to talk about in real life. So you can go to lots of events. You can really just do that. Like I'm going to go out. If I'm new to the city, maybe I haven't started working yet, or I'm in my city and I'm looking to expand. 2 nights a week, happy hour, I'm going to go somewhere new, somewhere different, expand, whatever. Maybe grab a friend, maybe go there for an hour by yourself. If you feel like it's good, stay. If not, you can leave. You can do it again in a few days. A tennis friend or a paddle friend, which I don't know if you guys know, but paddle is like the fastest growing sport. Like I went to Soho Farmhouse this past weekend and they're like building a paddle court. Like everyone wants to paddle, which is like so crazy. Does anyone paddle? Let me know if you do and let me know if you love it. I tried it once and I need to try it again, but I feel like I need a formal lesson. A fitness friend, it's really easy to go to the same class or the gym at the same time. So I'm not as good with this because I tend to kind of flow where the wind blows when it comes to my workouts, but I highly recommend that you find something you like, ideally something that's close to home or work, and you go at the same time every week. It's really easy to meet someone that way. Same Pilates class every Tuesday at 6 p.m., same gym, same locker, same instructors. That kind of repetition, you are able to really bank on meeting people. You can also join a co-working space or like a hot desk twice a week or every Monday or all month in the summer, whatever it is. You know, you've got like WeWorks, Soho Works, the Ministry if you're in London, and even libraries, guys, have free workspaces. The key to this is repetition. People need to see you consistently before they feel comfortable approaching you, and you are also going to want to see people consistently before you feel comfortable approaching them. If you work in marketing, I think one of the old thoughts or theories in marketing is that you need to market to someone 7 times before they purchase. So just kind of have that in the back of your head. If you see the same girl every Wednesday at Soho Works, maybe like first Wednesday, you say hi, maybe second time you comment on the weather, and maybe the third time, like if she has a seat next to her, you sit there instead of sitting further away. And you just kind of bring it up like, hey, like I saw you here. Like, how do you like the vibe? I'm considering extending my membership or whatever. Like, just strike up a conversation. I know, but you know, we're flexing our creative muscles here. So I want to double back to what I said earlier, which is using your existing network. This is very important. So if you are moving abroad or moving to a new place, I feel like it's really easy because you're very open and people expect you to be open because you're trying to meet someone new. But you can also do this in your current city and in your current neighborhood. You can do this with past colleagues, people that you worked with, that you got on with. LinkedIn is great for reconnecting with old people, maybe people that are in an industry that you're looking to move into, previous roommates, your nail lady, your hairdresser, your waxer, your facialist. Ask them like, hey, I'm looking to expand my network and maybe meet new women in the city. Do you know someone that you think you can introduce me to? If it's a no, it's a no. And you can also add in like no pressure, but just think about it. And if anyone comes to mind, let me know. You can say that right off the bat so they don't feel pressure to answer in the moment. Also, if you get on with your nail lady, ask her for drinks. Like, hey, what time do you normally finish? Like 8, 9? I'd love to do drinks on like a Friday night if you're interested. Or let's do coffee on like an early Sunday morning before we both have work. I know lots of people that have got on with their nail ladies and their hairdressers. Like, it's actually not uncommon at all. And also, don't ask them to do their hair or their nails or their lashes because they're not trying to work when they're outside of work and no one wants to feel used. But if you feel that genuine connection, a coffee, a drink, if you're going to a very social event and you have a +1, perfect. Like, hey, I'm going to this event. Would you be interested in this? I just don't want to go alone. And I think we'd get on really well outside of, the salon. Perfect. Everyone wants to be included. And also, like, especially these people in service industries, they know everyone. They know everything. So the amount of connections that can come through your lash lady, your hairdresser, and your nail lady, your waxer is insane. Okay? So try it. Next, we're going to talk about meeting people digitally. So this is in 2 parts, and I can honestly say this is my bag. This is a little bit more niche, not for everyone, but I would say WhatsApp communities are really good, it depends. If you are aware of WhatsApp communities, then you're like, okay, yeah, cool. If you're not, you're like, what the fuck is a WhatsApp community? So they're a little bit harder to find because the WhatsApp communities that I have found is usually because someone is posting them. It's not like you can go on WhatsApp and search communities. I don't think you can. If you can, please let me know, but I don't think you can. So the best way, I think, is searching like on Instagram, like through bios or even TikTok, especially if you're in a specific city. Like if you're in London, you can search like London Girlies or WhatsApp com, or start looking at who's commenting on those posts. DM someone and say, hey, I know this sounds random, but do you know of any active women's group chats or WhatsApp communities in London? It's also a way that a lot of content creators are expanding their community for something a little bit more niche. I'm part of one from the Selfhood, which she's an author and a creative collaborator and consultant in London. And she has quite a big one on WhatsApp, which I find to be very helpful. There's like different tiers in it as well, like work opportunities or events. And everyone in there seems to have a really good vibe. Or if you attend an event, like ask someone if there's a group thread or a group chat for the event. A lot of events will have them, but they just won't advertise them. Another group chat that I'm in, or WhatsApp community, is Hot, Smart, and Rich. It's a podcast and a collective. It's 2 sisters, Maggie and Katie. They created one and they have like a global chat, and then they also break it down by cities. I've already met 2 women from the London chat and it was fab. So it's definitely a way to like get out there and meet people, and everyone in those groups is open to connection. This is the thing. Like, there's nothing weird about saying, hey, like, let's grab a coffee. And I love that because everyone in those groups is open to connection. Next is Facebook groups. And I know you're like, ew, because Facebook is so ill, and you're not wrong, but they do work. I'm not going to lie. And a lot of people are still on Facebook. I mean, I don't know why, but people really are still on it. I feel like Facebook is great for local groups, like hyper local. It can be your city, but you're really looking for like your neighborhood. I feel like that is where Facebook groups are really good for. You can look obviously for groups that are more hobby specific. It could be like Pilates girlies in London, or like Pilates girlies in Hackney, or whatever. I will say, when I was moving to London, the Canadian expats to the UK, that group was so helpful. Like, I didn't meet anyone from a friendship point of view, but from a immigration point of view and like life in London and what to expect and where to look for this and where to look for that, so wildly helpful. So although they do feel a little bit archaic, Facebook groups can be wildly helpful. Get in the groups, answer the questions, post a simple intro. You would be surprised how many people will respond. Get off those groups of are we dating the same man, and get into your bag to meet some new friends. Next, if I'm really in my bag, and if you've been following me on socials for a while, you do know that I highly recommend, and that is Bumble BFF. I know a lot of people don't like it and they've had some bad experiences, but I will say that Bumble BFF has done a lot for me since I've moved to London. I used it in Toronto, but a lot of my friends that I've met that I'm still friends with today, I met on Bumble BFF. It has definitely helped me expand my network. Why? Because again, people that are on there are open to connection for the most part. I know some people have said they've had like weird experiences, and I did get stood up one time. True story. We were supposed to meet at Colbert in Sloane Square, and I texted her when I got there. and she saw the message and then just didn't respond and then blocked me. It was very weird. So I did what I always do. I had some bread from the bread basket, had a glass of wine, and then I got the fuck out of there. But weird stuff does happen, but that never deterred me because one weirdo does not stop the show. Bumble BFF is great. I feel like I like it because there's often single women on there, which can be very helpful if you're looking for someone who's more social because let's just be real. Often women in relationships and are married are not as social. It's not always, but it is very often. I like that you can really search by age because I really like to find friends in my age group. I'm not in my 20s anymore. And it's not that I'm like ageist or anything like that. I just know that a woman who's in her 20s just wants to do different things than I do. Often, of course, there's exceptions to every rule, but for your sanity, you should consider yourself to not be that. So I don't. So I'm looking often for women in their 30s that I can relate to and that also want to do the same things as me. Again, I'm not casting as wide of a net anymore because I do have a solid network and I do have a solid group of friends, but it's a little bit more curated, but I still think it's worth the effort. It's not perfect, but it's really good for getting your feet wet and building like social stamina. I think a lot of people forget that if you haven't had to go out of your way to make new friends, it might be something that you feel a bit uncomfortable with at first. So apps like these are really helpful. Luma is also a newer one that my friend Joanne put me onto. This is more for like curated events and like heavy on the networking. So the quality tends to be higher because this is like still very much an in the know startup. I think most people I know don't know about Luma, but I would say it's definitely more of like a professional networking. There are events that are not as professional on there, but definitely like more of like a networking vibe. And it's often filtered through interest, but then also by cities. So go on there, see if your city's listed. I think you can find some really good quality events on there. I would also say Eventbrite. It's really easy to search on Eventbrite. And I've searched many events on Eventbrite and just found it, sent it to a friend and be like, do you want to go? Like a few years ago, I was really into going to galas, which I still am, but I was like really into it, especially around Christmas because London has so many galas. And I would literally just go on Eventbrite, search galas, and then send it to my friend and be like, do you want to go? And we went to a few of them that year, and it was so fun. There's also Meetup. I have very old experience with Meetup because I remember when Meetup started, I signed up for it years ago when it was still only in New York because I just thought the idea was cool. And I feel like they were really the first of like friends meeting digitally online first, like online groups, and then getting offline for events. And I did a few back in the day. I don't really use Meetup now, and I haven't used it in a long time, but I do know people that used it. I have a friend that when she was separated and then newly divorced, she used Meetup to meet other people in the same position. And a lot of her friends that she's still friends with now came from that group. So men and women that were recently separated, recently divorced. And it was really helpful for her during that tough time. It can be a bit random, but search for maybe niche groups like hikes or creative women over 30. The thing is with Meetup is because it's so popular and so vast, you can truly find what you're looking for. Sometimes on these digital apps, it can feel like conversations go to dead ends, but don't take it personally. You can just unmatch, archive, and keep it moving. One thing I will say is that when you do match with someone, a little bit of back and forth, and then you need to initiate something offline. Like, hey, what's your schedule like? Do you work from home or do you work in the office? Let's meet for coffee on the weekend or an after work drink. You guys have to get offline. If you're not looking for a pen pal, you have to get offline. It's the same advice I would tell you if you were online dating. It's literally the same thing. Meet online and get offline ASAP. Finally, I will say social media, specifically Instagram and TikTok. When I was doing the prep for this episode, obviously you sit and you think and you brainstorm. And I was like, wait, no, like I've met cool people from Instagram and I've got a few like IG besties that don't live in London. But if I was in their city tomorrow, I could hit them up, hang out with them, go out, party, have coffee, whatever. So I really want to encourage you to make friends on Instagram and TikTok, like actual friendships. If you have been following someone, maybe you see a cool girl in your city, probably not an influencer. I think it's probably best if they're not an influencer because influencers get a lot of messages from people. So it's really hard to decipher if this is a genuine connection or maybe of like an opportunist. But if you just see a regular person and you're like, oh, I like her vibe and she lives locally, or I like her vibe and she lives in LA or whatever, and you just end up following them for whatever reason and you build a real relationship. Maybe you're commenting on her pictures, She says something funny in DM, you're like, yeah, girl, and there's a good enough back and forth. You should be like, hey, babe, I love your content. Like, we should definitely grab coffee the next time you're in my city or the next time I'm in your city. Comments on posts, replies to stories, interact genuinely. Some of those girls, like, has blossomed into a real friendship for me. So it's not weird if you make it not weird. You're being genuine. You're not being clingy. You're just expansive. That's truly how I look at it. And again, you don't need a new best friend. You just need a few safe, soft, smart connections that make life sweeter. And I love, guys, I love being able to be like, okay, I'm in Atlanta. I know who I'm going to like message in Atlanta. I love being like, oh, I'm in New York. Okay, I know a girl that lives in New York, but I'm not super close to her, but I know another girl that used to live in New York for years. I can message her and be like, babe, can you introduce me to anyone who's in New York right now? Like, I love that. I love that shit. So yeah, highly recommend that. Again, with TikTok, same thing. And I also feel like TikTok's even a little better because I feel like people are more at ease there, more comfortable. I've definitely had a few girls where we go back and forth on our TikToks, and I've ran into them in London, and it's like, hey, how's it going? Like, it's not weird. It's just cordial. And again, like, it doesn't have to be, oh my God, get my number. We need to go out, da da da. But it's like, I'll see you now. I'll probably see you again. We can have a chit chat then. Like, again, there's so many levels to friendships and there's so many ranges. And you're not necessarily looking to completely replace whoever you have in your life. You're just looking to add to it. And I really hope that that makes sense. Okay. And part 3 is the follow-up. Guys, I need you to get over yourselves and follow the fuck up. Like, sorry to cuss. Well, not really. But I need you to follow up. Like, a lot of women don't have a friend problem. They have like a follow-up and like a networking problem. And I'm going to say a huge thing is like women really get in their feels. And I'm not talking down because I get it. Like, oh, she didn't respond, or oh, I see that she's in London and she never called me. Like, if you don't have that kind of relationship with somebody, like, it's okay. Like, not everyone is thinking about you. Everyone is thinking about themselves. Like, you don't know what people are going through. You don't know what's on their mind. You just don't know where they're at when you're still building a relationship. Now, let's all just be smart. I'm not talking about your best friend who comes to the city and like hangs out without you. That's not what I'm talking about. But I'm talking about someone that maybe you have a loose relationship with, and this is a chance for you to build on it. Like, you'll meet someone cool at an event, maybe exchange Instagram handles, and then nothing, right? Or you'll see someone twice at the same Pilates class, make eye contact, smile. I like your outfit. Thanks, it's Tala. I love yours too. Thanks, it's Adenola. Is very like a London coded conversation. And then never actually like introduce yourself. Never say your name. Never say, hi, I'm Shantel. Like, this is my favorite class. This is my favorite instructor. This is my favorite studio. Or, hi, I'm Shantel. I live in the area. Like, do you come here often? Guys, come on. We got to be on our Zoom here. We got to be on our Zoom. You meet someone cool, DM them. Love chatting with you. Let's grab matcha sometime soon. You see someone at the same class. You walk up to her and say, hey, I think I've seen you here a few times. My name's Shantel. What's yours? Come on, guys. Maybe they'll bite, maybe they won't, but you need to be making an effort. You need to try. And I know this is hard in London because Brits have like a weird like social hang up if they're not completely drunk. Don't get mad at me if you're British. I'm just calling it like I see it. Don't be mad. It's just calling it like I see it. And then I think it's also a woman thing because we don't want to seem too much to this. It's like, who cares? Like, you're not being too much. You're literally like expanding your network. That's what you do. You don't need a big reason. You are the reason. Like, you existing and wanting to be friends with someone is reason enough. Be brave, guys, but be warm. Maybe even a little delulu. Good friendships require a little risk. Someone has to take the risk. There's no way this is going to work if someone doesn't take the risk. And if you want new friendships or you want better friendships, you need to take the risk. That is how this works. No risk, no reward. And that's just a life mantra, not even this. And by slightly delulu, I mean you should assume that people want to be your friend. Why would they not want to be your friend? You're not a weirdo. You're a hot chick. You're fun. You're charismatic. Why would they not want to be your friend? Everyone wants a friend like that. Don't be crazy. Most people do. And I'm going to say everyone does. And we're all just waiting for someone else to make the first move. So I challenge you, my dear listener, my sweet sister in Christ, to make the first move. The follow-up is everything, guys. I'm telling you, it's everything. It's everything. Don't take it personal. When you get knocked down, don't be weird, but follow up. Okay, and before we close out the episode, I just want to be very honest and transparent and loving with you guys and just say something really important, which is don't feel bad for wanting new friends or for wanting more closeness in your life. Friendship in your 30s and 40s, unfortunately or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, does not look like high school or college. It's different. It's beautiful, but it's different. I think it's more intentional. I think it's far more energetic and filling and glorious, but it can also look like scheduling and iCal and canceling to rescheduling and availability. But it's also consistent and small acts of follow up and shared values. You know, these are all beautiful, complex things that are worthy of the conversation. But I do want to emphasize that I don't want you guys to feel bad because you want something new in your life in terms of female friendships, because it is such an honorable desire. We're always growing and evolving in so many different ways. And why not meet people who can meet you on whatever part of the journey you're on now? You know, I even think about like moms. If all your friends are from back in the day and maybe you're the only one that has children, you deserve to go and find mom friends. You deserve that, because motherhood, childbearing, and rearing is such a profound and mind fuck experience that all the empathy in the world can't replace your lived experience and can't relate to it. And not in a bad way or a falling short way, just in a reality way, right? I encourage you guys to make the first move, be the friend you wish you had, and just remember, like, everyone is figuring this out and everyone also wants to be included. So also be a good person. Most people I know want more connection in their life, not less. So you're not alone in this. A genuine person is a genuine person, and we all want genuine people. A huge reason why I even started this podcast was because I wanted more stories and more texture about women in their 30s and 40s, because life changes so much from your teens and 20s, and you're so heavily told and marketed to, and there's so many stories in that era, and it's like women's stories get fewer and far between as we age. And actually, we know now that our lives get far more interesting, far more textured, just so much more rich than it was 10 years ago and 15 years ago. And our women friendships are a huge, huge, huge part of that. So I love the Sisterhood Chronicles series in the podcast, and I want to keep adding to it because I think it's so beautiful and it's so much of what I love speaking about. So I really hope that this episode helped you, inspired you, or at the very least, gave your brain a little tickle about expanding your network. I encourage you this week, okay? We've got 7 days. So by next Thursday, I want you to have had at least a 20-second conversation with someone new. Like, you're at Pilates, you're at the coffee shop, wherever you go regularly, like, hey, how are you? I see you here all the time. My name's Shantel. I encourage you to do that. I want you guys to do that. That is your challenge for the week, okay? And then I'm also going to do it. So now I have to remember to do it, because I would say this and then forget. And I do want to leave you guys with a book recommendation. There's a few books on friendship, but one that I want to recommend to you that I've actually read and really loved was the book called Big Friendship: How We Keep Each Other Close. Although this isn't really about making new friends, this is a smart and honest book about the complexities of long-term friendship. So for those of you that are on the other side of the fence, conflict, intimacy, change, all of that stuff. And it's written by two women who used to have an amazing podcast called Call Your Girlfriend. It was by long distance besties, Amina Tussaud and Anne Friedman. I used to listen to Call Your Girlfriend back in the day. It started in 2014. So when I tell you guys I was an OG podcast girly, I really was. And they stopped making new episodes in 2022, but you can still listen to it on like Spotify and Apple and all that kind of stuff. But they wrote a book called Call Your Girlfriend, where they talk about their friendship and how they actually almost stopped being friends. They were able to repair it. And I highly recommend it on Audible, which is what I got, because they both do the narration. And I think it's a fantastic book. So I hope that this helps. That's it for today's episode. If this hit home, send it to a friend who's also looking for new friends, or maybe someone who you would like to build a deeper relationship with. You guys know where to find me all across Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Subscribe to the show and leave us a cheeky rating. You know I love 5 stars because I'm a 5-star girl. And you know your challenge for the week. Have a brief connection with someone new. Have an amazing day and a kick-ass weekend. I will talk to you next week. I love you. Bye.